Kelly's lonely for it. He wanted me to do.
Good morning, Facebook. Of course, we just went live. That means none of you are actually on yet. So we have to wait a second for people. There's a lag time. Plus, if you hadn't noticed, if you watched it, well, you probably maybe didn't notice, but there's sort of this, like, at least a 30-second delay between me saying something and it showing up on your screen. So
yeah, that affects like the effectiveness of my return text.
Comments.
They're diluted. Yeah.
We have two people.
There's a delay between
Deborah's here.
Hi, Deborah. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh.
Deborah's
So
here.
I'm watching on my computer.
Yeah.
So we're here at Jonathan's Dream, waiting for a couple more people to arrive.
Ahead of me.
Ahead of it? Oh, okay. Of the computer.
Yeah.
Farrah's behind the camera right now, so if you want to say hello, give a wave. She'll let me know you're there. Good morning. We're trying a different direction, hopefully, so the neighbors won't hear me quite as much. As long as you can see what I'm doing.
Robin's here.
Oops.
Robin.
Hi, Robin. Robin. Who else is here?
Deborah.
Deborah. Good morning.
Somebody else.
Somebody else, right? There's always a couple mystery people watching, and it says there's 5 people watching, and 2 people say hello. It's actually really strange. So the difference between talking to your phone and people in a sort of an audience versus actually having people in front of you is really drastic. It's kind of an interesting experience. I have to divide my attention between you folks right there and everybody here. All right, so what we're doing today is similar to it's a little bit of a blend of what we did last time and what I have been doing up to now. We got four routines. We're going to go through each one of them twice. So there are 4 exercises on each post. For the first one, we're doing push-ups, just vanilla push-ups, followed by some mountain climbers. Then we'll do some squatting exercises, followed by some jumping jacks. We do a minute of each one. And then we have a rest. Then we'll cycle back through it again. So we do each post twice, and then we switch posts. You ready? Got the timer ready? So we'll put a timer on. Farrah, you might want to move the speaker away from the phone because it's going to blast everybody. Yeah, here, I'll take that. Is it on? Good enough. All right, here we go. So let's get warmed up. We got 5 minutes to warm up. And then we'll go from there. Start with some arm circles. We're doing lots of push-ups, so you get your arms loose. You guys let me know if you see anybody back there on the fence throwing things at me, or
Did you have boot camp before COVID, or is this just started after COVID?
This is a COVID-inspired work routine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wanted to do a class, so it's open and close. By the way, if you folks are here behind me, you start talking, they'll hear you, so. Matter of fact, Larry, you're just about as far away from the microphone as I am.
So if I insulted Macca, he would hear it?
If he's watching. You have to watch and see if he's watching. Now, this is a kind of one up, one down. These movements are really just about loosening up the shoulder joints. If you're going to be throwing your push-ups around, you want to start with warm and loose shoulders before you start. But you notice one thing, I'm actually pushing this arm past my body behind me, trying to do the same thing with the one up top. And then when you do this, you kind of do a little pulse, a little double pulse. You don't want to push it back so far that it hurts or anything, but you're trying to nudge the range of motion a little bit here.
It's good on a pinched nerve.
Right, if you're feeling something like that, you don't go
It's
quite
good.
far.
No, it feels good.
Let's go for a little rotation. So if any of you have ever used the CMTs, you know what I'm talking about? It's like a little, it looks like a football with 2 handles on the end of it, and it's full of ball bearings. And the whole concept of that is that when you move it around, the ball bearings inside are sliding. So when you move quickly like this, they all fly into the end of the little football, and they kind of hit it and make you kind of jerk a little bit, which you have to react to. So they have a really interesting shoulder exercise where you do just that. You shake them up here, and it increases your range of motion in your shoulders. It's pretty impressive. All right, so lifting the knees up. Now I notice I'm always saying lift, right? I'm not swinging them. I am trying to pull my knees up, just using the strength of my legs, rather than, say, taking some momentum and swinging them up there. I have to admit, these are a little bit of kind of karate class inspired, right? Pulling the knees in, setting yourself up for a kick. Try to keep your body upright while you're doing it, right? So I'm not doing this, right? I want to keep the body up, pull the knees up to me, while I put my hands up this way, and then make it circular. Again, this leads you into a nice kick, you know. Everybody feels like reverse crescent kicking somebody upside the head.
Billy Jack.
Billy Jack. That's a call. That's way back.
110 soldier.
All right, now take the leg. I'm going to go this way so the folks at home can watch, and go for more of a swing, right? So again, a light swing. I get more of a lift, so less momentum here. Just try to pull that leg up. Put a hand out in front. Try to lift your toe to it, and then you notice I'll put my foot back like this for balance. Again, try to keep your body up while you're doing that. So if you find yourself kind of hunching down when you lift the leg up, you want to knock it off, right? Keep it straight. Lift your chest. You're going to switch sides. Down under a minute. So here's the first routine. We do a minute of push-ups, followed by a minute of mountain climbers, followed by a minute of just air squats, followed by a minute of jumping jacks. And then we rest, and then we repeat. 24 seconds. Okay, let me just check my speaker. You should be hearing some beeps. That'll give you some countdowns. All right, you can head on down for the mat. We got 10 seconds, 12 seconds. So, 1 minute of push-ups, vanilla. You want to start the first set from the knees. Build your warm-up. Here we go. Welcome to boot camp. Like I said, if this were a real boot camp, there would be an angry yelling at you right about now. Probably kicking dirt in your face. Maybe standing on your head. That actually happened to me, by the way. Crawling through mud under barbed wire, and I wasn't keeping my head down low enough, so the drill sergeant came along and put his boot on my head. It's hard to crawl with somebody standing on your head. I just wanted you to know that.
Seems that would build resentment, not camaraderie.
So keep your push-ups in this first minute nice and steady. Right, easy pace. All right, so you're going to go right to mountain climbers. Little jump switch with the feet. So this is the first set through. Right, you're pacing yourself. I like to think of this first one as kind of doubling up as part of your warm-up, right? So this doesn't have to be the hardest effort yet. You go for a minute. Set a steady pace that you can sustain. The second time through, you can try to burn yourself out, right? Jump switching. Try to set a good pace. The knees should be fairly close to the ground. So if you find yourself kind of doing these with your butt way up in the air, like this, right, you want to try to drop it down, level the body out. After a set of push-ups, it should be a little tiring for the chest muscles, so hold yourself like this, right? You got to struggle through it. All right, you're going to stand up. Just doing air squats, right? So just dropping down, coming up. I like to reach my hands out in front as a counterbalance. Still working on that hip mobility. So the depth of your squat, a little bit dependent on what you've got for flexibility and mobility in the hips and the knees. So if you can drop down here, right, see how my hips are actually a little lower than my knees. That's okay as long as a couple things are happening. One, you bend the knees first. So it's not this, it's this first. Then the hips drop down. Try to keep the chest lifted. See if you can sink down with your body staying more or less upright. One place that's limited, this is, happens to me, is that the ankles are tight and then you go like this. Right, you fall over backwards. Because the ankles don't flex enough. All right, jumping jacks, 1 minute. We'll come back to the squat later. A couple ways you can modify a jumping jack. Right, so if you don't want to actually jump, let's say impact is something you want to avoid, well, you just stay on the ground. Right, or you can do it with a little bit of a leg lift. If you want to go in the other direction, you can do this. That would be amping up the impact.
Maybe
Nice
after the warm-up.
What's that? After the warm-up?
Maybe after the warm-up.
I did a lot more of those when I was in my, like, 30s. You know, when I was younger. Back in the 30s. Anybody remember the 30s?
5 years ago.
5 years ago? I can't believe I could say that now. You know, the 30s are almost 20 years ago. I know. But you're saying, Dave, you don't look that old. All right, we have a rest. Got a minute. Man, I just turned 49. Yeesh.
Baby.
What's that?
Oh, wow.
Oh, what? Right, wait a minute. I'm not younger than all of you, right?
You're
I'm
not
older
getting
than
any
you.
sympathy from me.
I'm only slightly younger.
To be 49.
I'm younger than you? Really? Okay.
43.
43? Yeah. I remember 43. Yeah. Those were the good old days. Enjoy your youth while you got it.
Sorry. You look 30.
All right, get ready. Push-ups. Back to the push-ups. How we doing out there, everybody? You good? Let's go. See, now if you did the warm-up really well, the second set of push-ups should feel better. Right? So just some review on the push-up technique. The hands are just outside the shoulders. The elbows are bending slightly to the back at a little bit of an angle. Okay? I don't want to strain the shoulder joint too much, so I want to put the arm in a position that really gets me lined up, right, to get the most chest muscle involved, to get the triceps involved, but it doesn't strain the shoulder joint by putting your arm in a sort of an extreme position. That comes later when we do things like cobras. But then by then our shoulders should be nice and warmed up. So I'm doing a steady pace with the push-ups right now. Feel free to modify if you want to do a slower pace, faster pace. That's cool. All right, it's mountain climbers. With that jump switch. So maybe now you can pick up the pace a little bit from the first time. There's something that's important as you're doing an exercise like this. Rhythm and breathing, right? Find a rhythm to your breathing. So if you're just pumping your legs and gasping for air, right, you need to regulate the breath a little bit. So find a pattern to breathe, right? Match it with the pattern of the foot movement. So maybe it's breathing in for 4 steps and then out for 4. Or maybe it's 3 and 4 or 2 and 5 or whatever. But find a pattern that works for you. Could be in on 3, out on 3. One thing you can do to help regulate this is concentrate on the breathing while you're moving. Keep the feet moving and focus on the breath, and it will help you endure a little better. All right, we're up for squats. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, knees bend first. Try to keep the heels down. Little turn out in the knees and the toes. Okay, another way to modify this is just to go wider in your stance. Right, and that'll allow you to go a little deeper. Of course, if you really turn out, right, that changes the exercise a little bit. Puts a little more focus on the inner thighs. Here, a little more butt and quads. So you can always change your squat. Change what part of the leg you're working on. Another thing you want to try to do with your squatting is keep the back straight. So I'm not doing this. Right, trying to lean forward. Keep your chest lifted.
I can hear Farrah, warrior position.
What's that?
I can hear Farrah, warrior position.
Warrior position. One way to help that is to look up while you're squatting, right? So I'm just kind of going up at an angle. That kind of helps me keep the chest up. Jumping jacks. Right, this is easy. In boot camp, they called this the side straddle hop. Does that sound more official? So then what they do is this guy would walk out there and he'd say, the side straddle hop. And we would all go, the side straddle hop, drill sergeant. Because we had to repeat everything that was said to us.
Confirmation.
Yeah. And then he would say, exercise. And then we would have to count.
Sounds like fun.
It was a blast. So having just talked about my age, I was 18 back then, so if anybody wants to do the math. What was I doing when I was 18?
Side saddle hop.
Side straddle hops, that's right. All right, we get a minute of rest. Okay, so round 2, we ramp up the difficulty. We go right to the cobra. Anybody remember the cobra? Then we do bicycle crunches. Then we do some frog jumps. Right, remember these? Followed by burpees. Right, round 2 is tough. We've got the hardest one kind of right up front, okay? So quick demonstration on the cobra. Right, just to review. If you're starting from the push-up position and then you push back into sort of a downward dog, you're really trying to get everything as close to the ground as you can, come up into a cobra, and then come back down and slide back, right, and push yourself back into it. All right, you ready? Let's go. So how many of these are you trying to do? Now you can modify this, okay? It's okay to do this from the knees. So if you need to be down on the knees and kind of go through the same pattern, right, that's okay. What you might do is start from the push-up position, work your way down until you feel like you got nothing, and then you can put the knees down. Now this one, definitely loading the shoulders up. So, right, look at that, you gotta get close. You're gonna be able to hover right down here on the ground. Just kind of hang out here and slide back. So here's something fun you can do at home, you know, when you want to work on your cobras, because I know that's what you do when you're not with me, right? Is just practice hovering as close to the ground as you can. All right. Oh, bicycle crunches, so right on your back. Right? Crisscross. Just to repeat my oft-repeated cue here, right? I like this exercise to be about length. So reach with that opposite leg, reach back with the elbow going back, right? Make it about the parts of your body going away from each other. Right, opposite elbow, opposite foot. Another one of these exercises with lots of repetitions. Find a rhythm to your breathing. I don't want to hear you gasping for breath while you're doing this, right? Find a pace and a rhythm to your breath that you can sustain. And then you can work on building that up, trying to go faster, right? But make the breath rhythm part of it, right? Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. All right, we're getting up for frog jumps. So the frog jump, I'm going to use the length of my mat, go into a squat, hop, sink into a squat. For me, I'll just turn around. So if you got enough of a runway, you can just, you know, kind of hop around. I'll be back. Where are you going? See? You can't see me. I'm behind you. Let's see who else is here. How are we doing, Robin? You doing okay? I'm back into the shop. So all this is about staying low, right? Get down on that crouch. If you straighten up for a moment, it's in the jump, but then you sink. If before you do the next one. If you don't want to jump, just step forward and drop down, okay? Step forward, drop down. It's time for burpees, right? Remember the burpee. Squat down, jump back, jump in, jump up. Again, some ways to modify this. If you don't want to do the jumping, you put your hands down, you can step back, step in, and just straighten up without a jump. Okay, that's fine. But try to move the feet as smoothly as you can. And then you can go up to the squat. The full-on burpee experience. Right, so find a way to modify it if you need it. I'm just watching my live crew out here. Here's a throwback. This is my 2 live crew. I bet you nobody here gets that.
I do.
You get that, Larry? Were you a fan? You guys? Lots of 2 Live Crew fans here at the JCC. All right, you got a minute.
Same era as Too Legit to Quit, right?
MC Hammer.
MC Hammer.
Yeah, right? I didn't bring my baggy pants, but I used to do the hammer thing.
He was in the Army.
MC Hammer. He was an ex-military guy.
I was just saying, he was in the Army.
Air Force? I think it was Air Force.
He did side straddle hop.
He did that. He was side straddle hopping.
That's how he learned his moves.
Yeah.
All right, round 2. You ready for those cobras? Ready for those cobras?
No.
No, man.
Or will be.
Here we go. Hit it. 1 minute of cobra. So, downward dog position. Bring the head, the face, the nose right, scrape the ground. Come up into your cobra. Then bring yourself close. Push back. You don't have to fly through these fast, right? Make each one of them a whole exercise. Now at this position too, you can really enjoy this. Make it a bit of a stretch before you come back down and through. I'm gonna fire off a bunch of these just to make up for the fact that I've been kind of chatting. See, that's one advantage of being the instructor is I have to stop and watch everybody and make sure you're doing it correctly, right? See, this is checking it out. How's your form? Close to the ground, right? And this is a skill, right? This is something to develop. So whether or not you can do this absolutely correctly now isn't as important as if you're on the journey. All right,
Get back.
crisscross,
I can go down.
bicycle. When I do these, I like to just lightly put my fingertips behind the head. Try to avoid pulling on the head, right? Just lightly touching. And the rotation is coming from turning the body, not from just kind of popping your arms forward like this, right? It's twisting from the waist. So, nice steady pace here. One thing you can do to really ramp this up is constantly and deeply pull in on your belly button, right? Don't let it go until the minute's up, right? Just hold it down there. Try to pin it to the floor under you. Find a rhythm for the breath. Frog jumps. All right, so once again, here's the mod, right? You can just step and squat down, okay? So if you don't want to jump, a little light step. That basically just means that some part of you is always touching the ground, right? You're never in the air. On the other hand, if you want to pick it up a notch, you can go for a little more vertical in that jump, right? So I could get a little more squat, lift, and then nice soft landing. Land on the balls of the feet, and then sink down as gently as you can. One way to tell is how loud your landing is, right? So if you do something like this, right, and I can hear a thump, that tells me you hit the ground hard, you're not using enough power. But if you can kind of softly set yourself onto the ground, roll down, absorb it. Burpees. That's all right. We're getting the worst of it out of the way. Come on. We could use some 2 Live crew right now, right? Might be a little bit rough for this class, though, I think. That would be NSFW. Not safe for workouts. You'd be like me. I was in my yard working, listening to Linda Ronstadt. See, there you go. There's some windows into. Oh, I love the 70s. That's my wheelhouse. How we doing out there? 3 seconds. Okay. On to post 3. You hear all of the people behind you gasping for air, breathing. All these youngsters. You see the old man right here in the front. All right, round 3, diamonds. Diamond push-ups. Trying to do fingertips to thumbs, okay? They can be a little wider, but you're going for this and bring the chest down to the hands. Then we go to Russian twists. Then it's lunge jumps, right? These things. Followed by low jacks. Thank you, Farah. Right? Here we go. We're on to diamonds. Get on the ground. Remember, with the diamond, it helps a lot if you're going from the feet, if you're on your toes, to spread the feet apart. Have a wide base. If you're down on the knees, you don't have to spread them apart quite as wide. But so here's something to emphasize too. Keep going. But whether or not you can actually do these from your toes, fully extend the elbows, right? So if you have to drop your knees down, I really want to see you fully extend the elbows. I don't mean lock them, and then tighten up the triceps for just a second at the top. So at the top of every one, you've got that little tricep squeeze, especially in the diamonds, right? Because this is about triceps a little more than it is about your chest muscle. Still, it's all working, right? All right, Russian twists. So just have a seat. Keep the heels on the ground to start, and then twist. I like to bring the hands together. But if you've got something like a water bottle or some other object you want to hold for a reference, that's fine. Mine's empty. So, but that reminds me of something. When I pulled in today, parked over there, some dude, I'm assuming it was a dude, just left a pile of Chick-fil-A wrappers in the parking lot. Like somebody was out there eating their dinner.
I think it was every week. You saw them last week.
So last week too?
Yeah, someone, it's a trend.
Just throwing their trash on the.
It's a good combo.
Yeah.
Workout, Chick-fil-A.
They're sneak eating.
I guess. But why throw it out the window? How much effort is it?
To be like a really high high school friend.
Oh, goodness.
There's just no excuse for that.
So don't let me forget to pick up my water bottle. All right. Lunge jumps. Right. So here we go. Right. So this is full-on version is trying to jump switch. Right. I got the knee touching the ground or coming close. Lower version would be a step switch. Just a quick little step. And then an even lower version would be just slowing that down and coming to a full stop before lunging back. Right. So you can go anywhere on that spectrum that you feel like you got. So maybe you start out doing these, and after a while, right, you start running out of gas, and so then you're doing the quick switch, and then when you run out of gas there, it's something like this, and when you run out of gas there, you just flop over on the ground in a pile. Now I will tell you, after last week, my legs and my butt were really sore. Actually, I felt these. Low jacks. Ready? So it's down in the squat, and you're just doing kind of a jumping jack move. But the whole idea is to stay down, right? So you're doing your jumping jack move way out here. Okay, so a lot like a jumping jack. You can modify this by doing kind of a step. I'm just adding a little arm move. Oh gosh. Right, the lower you go, the deeper in that crouch. I can feel my quads burning after those lunge split jumps. Ugh. One thing I like to do with this is turn the legs out. So when I jump in, bringing the knees and toes together. When I jump out, I'm opening up, turning them out. So we make a little rotation. Oh, this burns. Does anybody else feel that? Is it just me?
No, I'm feeling it.
Is it just me because I'm the old man here? Larry says he's feeling it. Yeah? Okay. It's rest time. Take your breath. So in these in-between moments, this is another good time to try to get control of your breathing. So if you're gasping, like that, deep, slow breaths in through the nose, and then hold it for a couple seconds before you slowly exhale, and then repeat. 3 or 4 of those, and you'll slow that breathing down a little bit, so you're not, sucking wind. That's one way to put it. I don't want to see it like that. Okay, ready? We're going back to diamonds, followed by Russian twists. Let's see what you got left. I'd like to keep doing diamonds for a whole minute. So this is the full-on diamond, right? Now notice, you should be trying to keep your body straight. Okay, so if you're seeing something like this, where the hips are dipping and you're feeling strain in your lower back, that's a time to drop down to the knees. Do them there, right? So, even though the exercise is for the chest and for the arms, your focus really in the beginning should be on a good, solid posture in your spine, right? So that you're not straining the lower back, especially as you're tiring out. So you should know what the line is, right? When you cross it, that's when you modify to an easier version. Almost always during push-ups, give you your low back as a good place to tell, right? If your back is sagging, you're feeling stress, going for Russian twists. You guys do Russian twists, I'm just making up for a few. There we go, all right. I was talking too much, Travis.
More than made up for it, Dave.
Uh-oh, here comes the sun. How'd you guys all do the other day in the Ferris class when we were here, right? It was pretty sunny.
In the sun.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was right in the sun.
I was sitting behind that little tree when I could back there.
I saw you hiding
Shade.
back there.
I kept chasing the shade.
Right. And we'll try to move it around, maybe do the back half. There's a little more stuff back there, but that part's in the shade longer. How we doing? Are we twisting? Are you twisting at home? All right, we're up for the lunge jumps. Try to make that transition quick, but full depth. So if you're doing the full jump, I've got my knee on the ground, and I'm jumping up. Now, do you notice how I swung my arms into it? Nothing wrong with using the arms to give you a little bit of a lift, right? It's a full body movement. If you don't want to touch the knee to the ground, you got to hover a little bit and control the descent a little bit more. That's fine. But if you can touch down lightly, touch down lightly. If you got a mat like this, that's okay. Those of us here at Jonathan's Dream are on a padded surface, but it's still kind of rough, right? It's like padded pavement. Pretty impressive stuff, though, actually. I mean, the whole place. Okay, here we go. Split jumps. Remember to modify. So, if you need to, it's a quick step switch. Really making it about that step with the front leg. Low jacks. So here we go. See, the feet are parallel and facing you, and then they turn out, and then they come back in. And notice how I'm staying low. I'm not straightening the legs. I'm just trying to hover in that position down here, right? Here, I want you to reach back with the hips a little bit. Try to keep the chest lifted. I'm not doing it down here, right? So my eyes are still forward. It's totally okay to do a smaller move here, right? You don't have to go into, something like this. Start small and then work your way bigger as you feel stronger. Of course, the idea here is not to feel stronger as you go, it's to feel more tired, right? A little more spent. Try to set a rhythm and then stick with it. Oh, yes. That burns. Okay, we gotta rest. So, last round. Power push-ups, reverse crunches, skaters, and then bear crawl. So, power push-ups. Remember, these have a bunch of varieties, okay? So the basic power push-up is something like this, where you're just doing a little sort of jumping jack with your hands, right? Pushing off the ground and landing. If you can do that from here, right? That's a ramp up. Another version of the power jack would be to do something like a clap, like that. Ready? Choose your weapon. Of course, if you want to go full on power, then you can go for something like this, where you're trying to push yourself off the ground, but without bending the hips. Right, so which one are you doing? You're doing the jumping jacks. And you notice I'm doing these from the knees. Nothing wrong with that. It's called the power push-up because it's all about the push. You are trying to push off the ground as fast and as hard as you can to get that little jump. Right? So whether you're doing that from the feet or the knees, it's really more about how you explode off the ground. Right? I want to push off hard, fast. You get really gung-ho, you can do things like, of course, the guys who are really good at that do stuff like, they do stuff like this. They're like, right? The whole body comes off the ground. Then you can do it like this. But that's for another time. Reverse crunches on your back. Pulling the feet back behind the head and then down. Now when I say behind the head, all I really mean is if you're looking up, your feet should just kind of pass by your eyes, right? I'm not asking you to flip all the way over into a plow or anything like that. A little bit of a hip lift, and then lower slowly with control, right? Put your hips down with control. No flopping out of this move, okay? I don't know about you, but I'm sweating. This feels a lot like South Carolina in the summertime in 1989, actually. You probably heard me say before, South Carolina's got a lot of sand and ants. All right, we are on to skaters. So you're on your feet. So the skate position is putting the one leg behind you, leaping sideways, and then crossing behind. And then the exercise comes in how big a leap you make, right? So low impact version of this is just a step. Again, you never leave the ground. You can try to squat down a little lower and reach across your body. Try to touch with the opposite hand as it comes across. To ramp it up a little bit, you try to step bigger. So this is about covering distance, right? Covering distance. Your back foot, it's okay if your back foot touches the ground. That'll give you a little stability to push off for the next jump. Now you don't have to do that, right? This is the tougher version, right? That's way tougher if you don't touch. Bear crawl. So if you got a mat, this is getting down, knees as close to the ground as you can get them, and you are crawling forward. You got limited space, crawl backwards from there, right? If you would rather not go backwards, because that is obviously, I think, the more challenging of these two things, you could just bear crawl in a circle. But I'd like to give you the challenge of trying to go backwards, right? Figure out that pattern. Backwards crawl. 4 or 5 steps one way, 4 or 5 steps the other. Are you controlling your breathing? Or are you sucking wind? Right? Find a rhythm for your breath. One thing about the bear crawl, try to keep the hips level. All right, you gotta rest. So while you're bear crawling, I don't want to see your hips turning like this. You're trying to actually keep them pretty level. So if I had something sitting on my back, I should be able to crawl around, keep it there without dropping it, right? As opposed to doing that. Rugged little speaker. Okay. Get ready. We've got 20 seconds. You got some power push-ups coming up. So which version are you going to do?
Get up, Larry.
I am. I'm breathing. Speaking English. I'm up.
Still speaking English? Right. You know you're working out hard when you start speaking a foreign language. Okay, power. So what's your version? Backwards clap. Backwards clap. See now, like I said, the pros are doing those things with all kinds of crazy stuff in there. You know, they're like, getting the feet to come up, jumping in circles, clapping their hands, clapping their feet. Don't try any of that. Start with the lighter version of it, right? Just trying to lift yourself off the ground. By the way, if you're not getting yourself off the ground, that's fine. These push-ups still count, right? There you go. That's it, Linda. I see your hands moving. That's all I want. Good, Dara. Coming all the way up. Try to use the momentum of the push to carry you up. Because you could do this, right? You could push up and go, oh, ooh, I made it.
I might have done a few of those.
The other half, though, is the descent, right? Just catching yourself without bumping your nose into the ground. Reverse curl. So, on your back. Crunching over. You know, it's really beautiful out here. The sky is
We're almost there.
crystal blue, clear.
Yay.
Looking at the moon up there. A few birds flying by overhead. I'm keeping my eye on them. My driveway is right under a giant oak tree. And there's some giant birds nesting in that tree because some days I come out and my black truck is covered in a layer of white stuff. Like a thick layer of it too. I think I need to move my truck or chop down the tree. How we doing, everybody? So remember, control this move. All right, we're getting up for skaters. So, right, touching down. Trying to get low and then get a big jump to the side and then sinking low again. Now, if you remember, the first time I ever demonstrated this to all of you, I was talking about this new hip. When I get over here, I couldn't touch the ground. Check this out. See? So, that's just my little bit of evidence to you that exercise progressively improves things in your body, right? And if you didn't already know that, or you're feeling like it's not working, you ever get that feeling? You're like, I'm doing this day in and day out. Nothing's changing. Things are changing. Little things at a time. Stick to it. And by the way, here's another way to think of this. If you weren't doing it, they might be getting worse. So, some parts of exercise is sustaining, right? Try to keep yourself level. All right, we're on to bear crawl. So, now, what I just said about your hips, right? Go ahead and stick with that, but I want to show you a variation on this. And that is when you actually turn your hips. It's a much lower version of the bear crawl. Now I'm walking a little more like a lizard, right? So, if you want to ramp this up, because I know you do, right? You can do the dragon walk, which is really stretching out your bear crawl, pivoting the hips, and then sinking low. Look, I'm doing kind of a push-up here. To see how my knee comes way up outside my hand, right? So you're gonna switch your hands around. Yeah, there you go.
Right here?
Nope, the other way. Reach forward more with your right hand
gotcha.
forward. Yeah, so you're stretching out one side of your body.
Okay.
So it's opposite hand, opposite leg. See it? That's just a challenge if you want to try. All right, everybody, we're cooling down. Nice job.
We are?
One day I'll give you I'll give you a little lesson on that dragon walk. So, just keep your body moving a little bit. Don't just lie there.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
You know, stand up, walk around. You don't really ever just want to stop. Right, dead.
For those on the camera, he was talking to Larry.
Yeah. Right. You know, you should get up, keep your body moving around, right? Let the heart rate come down gradually. So we'll do a little techniques class on that dragon walk. So something that I'll advocate, and one of the things I like about this kind of boot camp class, right? No weights, right? Just lots of movements in different directions, is really trying to challenge your body in different ways, right? We're going to get out of that habit and the pattern of just doing things with both arms at the same time, doing bicep curls or just doing 2 leg squats, but changing the direction that your body's moving. Just think about it. That's how you move around every day, right? You don't walk around like this. Right? Only guys in gyms do that. I said guys on purpose, I know. So, right, move your body some different ways. All right, everybody, I want to thank you for showing up today. Thank you all my friends who are here with me live. We're going to do this again next week, weather permitting. And if the weather doesn't permit, we'll be in my living room, right? So it's all fine. I guess I don't have anything else to say. I hope to see you all back at the J soon. We're going. You know, I just got off the line with some friends of mine in California, and they're shutting down again. You know, so here in Connecticut, we're doing great. We've made a really safe place for you to exercise, where you can spread out and be far away from other people working out. And you know what? When you're comfortable, we really want to see you back. And until then, you have a great day and be well.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Dave.
Vera.